Hey soldiers, things have just gone from bad to worse for Sam Bankman Fried. He faces even more criminal charges from federal prosecutors. Now look, before we get started, guys, do me a favor. After the video is done, let me know how my audio sounds. We got some audio files out there among the soldiers of finance, and some of them have vociferously made their viewpoint clear that the audio sucks, basically. So I was going to take our enormous production budget here at Soldiers of Finance, and I was going to buy a Bahamian condo because I heard that one is on sale for pretty cheap right now. But I decided instead to just purchase some new audio equipment. So please let me know how it sounds. This is a work in progress, but look, I'm being very serious. We want to always improve around here and bring you high quality, as high as we can. Okay, as high quality as we can. So let me know if it's working out with the audio, how it sounds. Now look, when Sam Bankman Fried was in the Bahamian prison, he came out a few days ago and had some things to say about that. He said, you know, the worst part of that was the lack of internet access. So he basically sounded like, you know, somebody is, yeah, man, I was a real badass in there. And the thing that pissed me off the most, after I made it clear who the hell I was, I walked up to the biggest guy and, smacked him right in the face. After that, then the lack of internet access was my biggest problem. Hey, look, in all seriousness, this guy's got a real issue if he thinks no internet connectivity is what prison's all about. Now, what probably ended up happening was when he was down there for the week or so, his mom and dad passed around some money. You know, it's the Bahamas, guys, let's be real. And got him a stay in the infirmary. He wouldn't have lasted 10 minutes in general population. And we know that. We already did the expose or chronicled the... it's not really an expose because they're not trying to hide it. They're like, look, our prison system sucks. Just don't come here. Don't do crime. And we chronicled that in a report. You can take a look at it. It's back in the stack somewhere. But look, the old boy has got even more charges pending now. And I want to say, these are allegations. The federal government, they got to prove the case, okay? This is not a fait accompli. Federal prosecutors on Thursday unveiled a new indictment against Sam Bankman Fried, charging the FTX founder with additional criminal counts and making detailed allegations that he engaged in conduct that led to his exchange's collapse. The indictment unsealed Thursday charges 30-year-old Bankman Fried with 12 criminal counts. The prior indictment, which prosecutors brought in December after a brief investigation, charged him with 8 criminal counts. Right now he's looking at a total of 20 criminal counts. He's 30 years old. If he gets slapped with 50, he's in the federal system, so he's got to serve most of that. Guy's looking at pushing 80 by the time he's out. And I said 50 years. I think that's probably very, very generous, in comparison to what he's actually facing here. Mr. Bankman Fried has pleaded not guilty to the prior charges. Now, as for this new raft of charges, the new 12 charges he's been hit with, they didn't get a statement yet. I'm reading this from the Wall Street Journal. They haven't gotten a statement from him yet. And that's surprising. You know, he always wants to talk, right? Soon as he picks himself up off the floor and regains himself from the shock of hearing that he's been hit with even more charges. The new charges include conspiracy to operate an unlicensed money transfer business and conspiracy to commit bank fraud. The indictment provides a comprehensive account of Mr. Bankman Fried's alleged fraud. Prosecutors said that since 2019, billions of dollars in FTX customer funds were illegally used as capital for Mr. Bankman Fried's crypto investment firm Alameda Research. Now, that's very important because we know that Caroline Ellison, the former CEO of Alameda Research, is cooperating with the government. And later on in this article, she basically has something to say that is in direct contradiction to Sam Bankman Fried. So the government is saying in promoting FTX, Mr. Bankman Fried falsely presented himself as a trustworthy, law-abiding figure in the cryptocurrency industry, whose company had adopted principles to ensure customer and investor protections, prosecutors said. Quote, contrary to Bankman Fried's promises to FTX customers that the exchange would protect their interest and segregate their assets, Bankman Fried routinely tapped FTX customer assets to provide interest-free capital for his and Alameda's private expenditures, and in the process exposed FTX customers to massive undisclosed risk. So we've gone over it, talked about all of the largesse that they were engaging in, lunches that were costing thousands and thousands of dollars, expensive real estate, giving out loans to one another. Nishad Singh, we did the report on him. He's considering cooperating, and he has a loan out. A 27-year-old man has a loan out for a handsome ransom. It's in the tens of millions of dollars at least. Now look, you got to ask yourself, well, then what's going on here? Could he possibly justify that? Was that granted under generally acceptable accounting practices? I can tell you, look, if I go to the bank tomorrow and I say, hey, listen, I'm here to borrow some money. I'd like $5 million. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say they're going to say, well, we can't do that, Mr. Keys, because your financial wherewithal does not give us the confidence that you'd be able to pay that back. That's a little above my pay grade, literally and figuratively. So Nishad Singh got a big old loan, and what's going on right now with these 12 additional charges, I bet you in an upcoming report, we'll be telling you how Nishad Singh is cooperating with the government. He's not thinking about it anymore. He is going to do it. Because when you're sitting back and you see all of these charges getting stacked on the principal, the one who is not cooperating, hey man, it's got to make for some sleepless nights. Now, the other part of this is they're saying that, the customers were under the impression that their assets were segregated. Sure they were, because they had a terms of service that spelled all that out. So they thought that they'd done some due diligence and were confident that, hey, this document protects me. FTX has got to be abiding by this because, if they're not, other people going to go to jail. They don't want to go to jail, right? Well, wrong. Apparently, they were willing to risk that. And several people are going to jail. All these folks that have pleaded guilty, they are going to do some prison time. Remains to be seen if Sam Bankman Fried will. Mr. Bankman Fried lied to officials at a U.S. bank about the true nature of an account that held FTX customer deposits, and he did that to circumvent extensive due diligence and licensing requirements. This is according to the indictment. Alameda regularly took money from customer funds to finance trades and expenses, as well as venture investments, according to the indictment. So you were putting money in as a customer of FTX, and they were just saying, the hell with what you thought you were putting it in here for. Your kid's education, whatever. They were using it for purposes that they deemed fit. Classic con game. They just wanted to live the high life. And the shame of it is, it sounds like the guy had a good business and a good business model. And that leads some to believe, and I'm not totally disavowed of this belief, that this was engineered in some way. Now, this next part is very interesting because a lot of people have said, oh, Tyrone, we got this multi-tiered justice system in this country, and we do. You're right. And that Sam Bankman Fried, rich and powerful, he's not going to have any ramifications because he's got the rich and powerful in his pocket. Well, Mr. Bankman Fried is also accused of directing the use of Alameda funds for a straw political donation scheme that masked the true source of tens of millions of dollars in contributions to Democrats and Republicans. He had previously been charged with violating campaign finance laws, but the new indictment makes detailed allegations about the purpose of those donations to gain political influence in Washington, including over federal policy on cryptocurrency. So here's the thing. This is why I'm going to assure you that the rich and powerful, or the powerful, are not coming to his rescue. Because he's made a lot of very powerful people on both sides of the political aisle look like fools. And think about Maxine Waters. Well, Maxine Waters looked like a fool, before Sam Bankman Fried came along. But He didn't do her any favors now, did he? So they have to now reach into their pockets and take money out, give it back to FTX so that they can help make the customers and creditors whole again, right? Politicians are pissed off at this guy, and this is one of the few bipartisan areas of agreement you will find in Washington, D.C. right now. The Manhattan U.S. Attorney's Office first charged Bankman Fried weeks after the collapse of FTX in November, when the crypto exchange was unable to meet a surge in customer withdrawals. Mr. Bankman Fried has spoken to the media, started a Substack newsletter, and posted statements on Twitter in an effort to defend himself from allegations. He's a fool. He's an idiot, an ignoramus, a totally immature mindset that thinks that he can put all this stuff out there into the public domain and not have federal authorities just sitting back, kicking up their heels, going through this stuff with a fine-tooth comb. Listen, he doesn't understand something that's very simple, that street-level criminals understand. He doesn't understand that he has the right to remain silent. Sam, Substack is the public domain, okay? When you do an interview with George Stephanopoulos, that's public domain. You are waiving your right to remain silent. Now, Bankman Fried, he's saying that, look, as far as all these allegations pertaining to Alameda, I didn't know what was going on over there. I didn't run anything over there. But Caroline Ellison, who has pleaded guilty and is cooperating with the government, she's singing a different tune. As the former CEO, she ought to know, right? She's saying that, no, Sam actually was heavily involved to the point where the two of them worked together to provide misleading financial statements to lenders, and that Sam was giving her direction all along the whole way. All right. So yeah, her testimony, the information she's feeding the government is now being made plain. I could say the same for Wang as well, Chief Technology Officer, and Singh and a host of others are probably going to come forward really, really soon to try and minimize their exposure to the big house and serving time in it. All right, now, some FTX customers they've actually started getting their money back. Take a look at this report. We go through it and explain to you exactly what's going on. Who knows, you may be in the situation where you can recover some of your funds under this particular rubric. Guys, I'll talk to you soon.